Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Let the good times roll!
What is going on, guys? This is Raiouza here of channel Royal Van Raiouza doing a guest upload for the Legion of Yu-Gi-Oh! aka for my friend and buddy, the Joker of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, I was originally going to do a deck profile using Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, but for some reason I can't record the full thing. My recorder keeps stopping out of nowhere just before the end when I get started on the extra deck, and it's a pain in the neck. So instead, instead of doing what I was going to do, which was a deck profile on Danger Chaos Dragons, I'm instead going to do a deck profile on a work in progress, but that's been going pretty decent lately, Invoked Lightsworn. So a lot of people know, I hope know, that Lightsworn and Chaos Dragons are my two most favorite builds to play around with. My two most favorite kind of archetypes, I guess you can say. And I've been playing them for years, actually. Ever since I was like a freshman in high school. So I know that doesn't seem that long, but it's still a few years. So I've had a lot of time to work with them. So I'm going to go ahead and just start off by saying... So yeah, my channel is Royal Van Raiouza. I'm sure that you guys probably, hopefully, know who I am by now, because I've seen that he's done a lot of shoutouts for my channel and me in some of his videos. I'm that guy, of course. Me and the Joker have been talking for a long time now. It's been around a year now, actually, that we've known each other. It went by pretty fast. So, on my channel, I pretty much do a lot of the basic things. I do deck profiles, I do some discussions, I open mail on my channels. Speaking of mail, if you guys want to send some stuff in to be opened on the channel, just contact me on my social media. I leave it in the description of all my videos. I'm not sure if the Joker would leave my contact info in his description, but who knows. You can send you can send in a letter or cards if you maybe want to help out in me completing decks, or you just want to send in some friendly donations of cards or whatever, stuff that's appropriate and maybe usable, I'll say, at the very least. And I also have a Patreon account up, though I can't really use it quite yet. I can't get any of the money from it, so if you guys want to 100% donate to the point where I will actually receive the donations, I would say to go into PayPal and type my email address that's connected to it. And you can just send that way. So, yeah, I'm going to get to that deck profile now on my Invoked Lightsworns. So, starting off, running triple copies of Alistair the Invoker. Since we are running Invoked in the deck, we're going to want to see our Alistairs as much as possible. So, we got to run 3 copies. I got to center this a little bit better. So, yeah, Alistair is very important. Got to run 3 copies. Helps us search our invocations, and it helps us set up a negate with Macabre. Next, for an extender, running triple copies of Goblinberg. You really need extenders in the deck. Hence why we also are running the Brilliant Fusion engine still with the plants. It's very necessary. If you want, you could possibly run Thrashers instead of this, or in my case, multiple Thrashers, because right now I'm only running 1 copy of him. It would probably be better to run 3 copies of that and just 1 Goblinberg instead, because Thrasher is light. But nonetheless, it's still an extender, and extenders help. Then, 2 copies of Fairy Tale Snow. We are running a 60-card variant, so Fairy Tale Snow is very live in the deck. Then for our one-ofs that don't really, well, they're just texts, I guess you will say. Not really one-ofs, just like texts that are needed. Thrasher, as I said, it's an extender. If I had two more Thrashers, there would be 3 of this instead and only 1 Goblinberg. But for now, this will have to the 1 Giant Rex, because banishing this on Fairy Tale Snow gives access to another special summon. Therefore, it's kind of another extender. And then we have the 1 Garnet to go with our Brilliant Fusion. Now going on to the Lightsworn half of the deck. Running 1 copy of Raikou, 1 copy of Minerva, 1 copy of Felice, and 1 copy of Gareth. We're not running Judgment Dragon or Punishment Dragon in this. I had them in here originally in my Lightsworn deck profile I previously did on my channel. But the reason that I took them out is because I just found that there was too many times that they were just dead cards in my hand, and I would have preferred extenders or just more Lightsworns to discard for the cost of solar recharge. But yeah, so these are just our 1 of Lightsworns. You can run 2 Felice and maybe cut out your Minerva or Raikou or something like that to get another card specials, but I try to want to keep this at 1 because it is like Wolf, but it's not like Wolf at the same time because you can't special this if it's milled off a spell. So that's it for the 1 of Lightsworns. Now for the 2 of Lightsworns, we're running double Twilightsworn Lumina and double Lightsworn Lumina. You know what? We're going to go ahead and just separate them like this. So these are needed for what is called the Lumina Loop. You can use this Lumina, discard a card, special this Lumina, banish this Lumina, special this Lumina. It's endless. Now, this was a lot better because there was Curious the Lightsworn Dominion. Unfortunately, in this build, I had to take him out because I felt I tried to make this, but I just couldn't with what I had. Unfortunately, with Thousand Blades being banned, it's a whole lot more difficult to bring up Curious than before. But I do have another idea to make Curious, but I just don't have the card I need for the idea. It is the Reprodocus. So what that can help me do is it can give me access to whatever attribute I need another copy of. Because it has 2 effects. I can change the typing of a monster or the attribute of a monster that he points to. But right now, this is just what we're working with. Lumina's still just really important. I wouldn't run more than 2 copies of each because they can get cloggy and you do not want your hand to clog. Next up for Lightsworns, for 3 of us, we're running triple copies of Raiden. He's just our main phase mill engine card, and he's also a warrior, so we can search him off Rhoda if we need to, and then after searching off Rhoda, we can use Soul Recharge to discard this to start getting some cards in our grave. Next up, running triple copies of Wolf. He's, of course, a brick of the deck, but he's also an extender when you mill him. You just gotta have Wolf. He's an easy level 4 20k beat stick, and that's just really solid to get off. That's going to be it for the Lightsworn engine. Well, Lightsworn monsters. Now we go ahead into our plants of the deck. We're running triple copies of Lone Fire Blossom. In this deck, we actually are running quite a few plants, so this has plenty of live targets. So well, it has 2 targets now. I had a Spore in here before in my non-invoked Lightsworn variant, but in this variant, I took out the Spore because it has to be engrave, and plus, with this, you kind of want to have more set up beforehand. And just Lone Fire Blossom's just too good. It helps us thin out our deck a little bit and get to whatever piece we need. Speaking of piece that we need, we are running triple copies of Predative Plant Ophis Scorpio. Now, I'm going to be honest, if you're running less than 40... if you're running this in a 40 card deck, I say go no more than 1 copy and then run triple Lone Fire Blossom. If you're running 50 to 60 cards, then you can run 3. Because I feel like having too many of this in a deck can get too bricky. And at least if you have Lone Fire Blossom and maybe at least 1 other target, it can at least make sure that you don't brick with this. But overall, it is a really important card because it does help you get out your Brilliant Fusion. And plus, it helps you special your one of your Darling Tonic Cobra, which is the actual card that gives you your Brilliant Fusion. And then the last plant, the one Glow Up Bulb, you can make a Nap Beast with it because it's an Earth monster. And plus, it's another card that can activate from grave and gives you an extra mill. So now we have a small Perform Mage Engine. We have 1 Damage Juggler and 1 Trick Clown, and then 2 copies of Hat Tricker. I think this is all you really need. You'll usually end up sending either one of these to grave off your Brilliant Fusion, if not Wolf, because the Trick Clown just doesn't matter as much now because we don't really have access to 1000 Blades anymore in the deck. Well, we don't have access at all to it in the deck. It's banned. The 1000, no, not 1000 Blades. MX Saber Invoker's banned, which gave us easy special summon access to our 1000 Blades. But since that's gone, the Trick Clown is a little bit more irrelevant. It's pretty much just another Wolf, but it's a little bit better than Wolf though because it can activate when you discard it from hand as well. So we still got to keep the Trick Clown at least. And we have the 1 Damage Juggler because the damage negate does come up on rare occasions. I admit it does. I have done it before. And then most of the time, what you're just going to use it for is you're going to end up searching your Hat Trigger for an extender. Then we go on to the spells. We're running triple copies of Brilliant Fusion. It's just an absolutely incredible extender. It brings out your Seraphonite and then your Trick Clown or whatever other monster that you can get off of this card. And then we get an additional normal summon off of it, which usually will end up normaling Alistair the Invoker after we bring out Seraphonite. And then with the Alistair and Seraphonite, we can easily just link those away to make our Alistair the Invoker Madness. Speaking of Invoker, running triple Magical Meltdown. It's our searcher for Alistair the Invoker. Really good. It helps. It kind of makes it a standing super effect that when you fusion summon, that fusion summon cannot be stopped or negated or whatever. Really good card. Now we're running triple charge to Light Brigade. I actually got these hollowed out because a friend came over and he's like, plus he owed me anyway, so I'm like, you know what, I'll just take those triple foil charge of Light Brigades. He's like, fine, as long as you give me the common ones, because I still need the card in general. So really nice to have a whole playset of foil charges now. Really important to have the charges because this is a milling deck and we want to get as much graveyard as we can because that's more cost for Fairy Tale Snow that we can fulfill. And plus, it helps us get our light monsters to grave to banish to make our Macabas. Triple copies of Solar Recharge, just another easy mill engine card. And plus, it helps us draw into other pieces if we discard a Lightsworn. 2 ofs, double terraforming. Since we are running Magical Meltdown, we do want to try to get into it more. And since terraforming's at 2, only can run 2 anyways. I feel like 2 is a fine number. It's not really that big a deal. At least it gets us to our Alistairs. Speaking of Alistair, we are running the 2 Invocation, which it searches. Helps us make our Macabas and our 1 Purgatrio, which Purgatrio is just a pretty decent game ender. It's kind of like a mini Chaos Giant, but still really good to have nonetheless. And you could potentially run 3 Invocations. I wouldn't run 3 though because I have there are times I don't want to anything that gets Alistair, then it's just because of brick. And then the final 2 of which I actually really am pained to have to put in, but double copies of Pot of Desires. It actually really pains me to have to use this card, but I have found that there is just too many times where I need that plus, so I had to put it in. And plus with the whole Allure Darkness, that's a neg from hand and it breaks even, so it's not nearly as effective. So I found that having Pot of Desires for the extra plus does help, but it also hurts to have to lose the 10 cards from your main deck. So you really want to avoid losing too many cards from your deck, and you want to make sure that you can mill most of them. Now, finally, for the one-ofs of the deck, for spells, running one copy of Foolish Burial gives us anything we want to the grave. That's a monster. One card Destruction, which came off the ban list. I was lucky to have had a old Magic card version that was foil, so I'm happy about that. This just easy helps us try to fix our hands. We don't see it that much, but when we do see it, it can help. One Rhoda. We have plenty of warrior targets that we want to search, like our Raidens. Then we can discard our Raidens with Soul Recharge. Or we can just add Thrasher or Goblinberg to get an extender. One Soul Charge, really good turn 1 card. Helps us make some really good fields, multiple gates. And then finally, our monster board. So that's going to be it for the main deck. Now moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck has been very debatable and has really changed, considering this is actually completely a different version. I'm pretty sure the extra deck is going to change for the non-invoked version too, but it is what it is. So let's start our fusions, running the one copy of Gemknight Seraphonite because we do run Brilliant Fusion. Running one copy of Purgatrio. Only need one. We can make this off our Lone Fire Blossoms that we get in grave. If this was not the Lightsworn variant, if this was not the Invoked variant, I would have probably Ash Blossoms in the deck. But regardless, it's at least there. But unfortunately, I do have to banish my Lone Fire Blossoms to summon out Purgatrio, so I ended up taking out Defrag Dragon because of that reason, that we don't want to banish our Lone Fires completely, because then we have no targets to make our Purgatrio with if we do need to try to push for that OTK. And then finally, for our fusions, we have Macabre. 2 is enough. Gives us a really good, easy negate. And plus, its discard cost can give us some combo pieces in the grave. For our Xyz monsters, only running 2. Just Abyss Dweller, Minerva. I feel like you only really need one Minerva, because if you're going, actually regardless when you're going, you need to, she's only there to like fix bricky situations, honestly. That's what I feel about her. Or if I really need the fuel for Fairy Tale Snow. Abyss Dweller is there to stop anything grave related, so if you're versing Gokis, try to get this set up on your turn 1, and then they can't get their searches off from the grave. Running 2 Synchros, running 1 Dawn Dragster, and 1 Nat Beast. These are just some really good negate cards. So with this deck, I made it a bit more aggressive. This Lightsworn variant is meant to be aggressive going second, but defensive going first. So the main thing you want to do with this deck is you want to set up as many negates possible. So in the extra deck, we have Nat Beast, Dragster, and Macabre, and Abyss Dweller. These are our cards that we want to try to get into as quick as possible if we have to go first. You want any combination of these. If you get out your Goblinberg and you can somehow get your Glow Bulb to grave, cool, then that gives you easy access to your Nat Beast, which is perfect. If you somehow get Lumina and Raiden together, cool, you can Synchro for 7 and make Dragster, and that gives you a different negate. If you get your Invocation off with your Alistair, that's awesome, you get yourself Macabre. If you can get double Macabre, that's even better. And then if Abyss Dweller is just a lingering negate that just stays for the whole turn. Ideally, you want to have at least 2 of any of these choices if you have to go first, because you just want to have those negates. Because in this current format, if you let your opponent use whatever they want, they will kill you. So you need to stop their plays. And in this deck, we do not have any space for hand traps. So instead, we're going to be investing into the negates like these. So that's it for Xyz, Fusion, and Synchros. Now we go into our links, which is a little bit different. We got the one Alistair, the Invoker of Madness. You need the one. It's really easy to make. It gives us our down arrows. It's perfect. Running the Nightmare package. Just a small one. Just one of each of these three. Cerberus destroys special summon monsters. Phoenix for back row. Unicorn can get either or. All of them are extremely important. And then finally for Link 4 is only 3. One of them being very debatable. Running 1 Firewall Dragon, 1 Raiouza, and 1 Boros Sword. Now, the one that's debatable is actually Firewall in this deck, because we're not really investing much in trying to get him co-linked in this version of the deck. In this version of the deck, you just want to really set up your other negates. Now, ideally in the Lightsworn deck profile, in my other Lightsworn deck that I had, my non-invoked version, I made the main negate goal of my deck was to go Firewall, Griffin, Anti-Spell, and sometimes, if we're lucky, Abyss Dweller. That was our ideal setup originally. But now that MX Saber Invoker is banned, getting that setup just is pretty much impossible at this point. At least with the cards that we have here. Well, cards I have here. I find that I just cannot get the setup to do this, so I actually really did like having this combo set up to have all these negates, but it's just impossible because making Curious now is just way too difficult. So we can't really get to access to our anti-spell that easy anymore. We'd have to get lucky to set it. And we can't run Beatrice because we don't have any level 6s to make Beatrice in the deck, and we don't run any Burning Abyss engine in the deck. Although sending 1 Burning Abyss, yeah, we can't really make this. Even if we did run Dante, we'd need a Burning Abyss in our hand, and we don't run Burning Abyss monsters in Lightsworns. At least not in this version. So I would need 2 level 6s to make this, and I just don't have the space in the deck to invest into that. So it's really unfortunate that we can't fit in the whole Firewall Griffin anti-spell combo, and we can't run Curious or Beatrice to send our anti-spell, which we don't have in here either. So for now, this is just going to be the lineup. I feel like Firewall is honestly going to get cut from this deck. It's really good and all, and I do like that it can help you make boards, but it just doesn't feel that important in this version of the deck. Because you're not really going to be focusing on extra linking at all in this. If you want to take out the Firewall Dragon, you can probably run one of the following few cards that I'm about to mention. You could run Clearwing, who's technically a negate, but only for level 5 or higher monsters, or when monsters affects target level 5 or higher in your field. You can run Black Rose if you want to try to do board destruction. Omega if you want to try pulling cards from your opponent's hand. And then there's this card for redirecting effects to keep whatever monsters you want safe. So that's it for the extra deck. Side deck, we get into a little bit more. So start off, triple sphere mode. Literally just there for any decks that can bring out multiple monsters. Like, Pendulum's new goal now is to set up as many 1-card negates possible, so we would just use our sphere mode to tribute those negates so they don't have them anymore. Or we can just get rid of Goki's extra link, because they can still extra link now, even after the ban list. They're a little bit more fragile, but hey, it's still doable. Then, for trap decks, we are running triple Epsilon. We put this in the main deck if we side this into the main deck if we're versing Trickstars or Altergeist, because we don't want to get reincarnation, so we special this, and then we special the 1 copy of Driver from the deck. We destroy that, we negate and destroy the reincarnation, and we don't have to worry about losing our hand. And if we're against Altergeist and they just have anything annoying, like they activate a Floodgate, we say no, we activate Epsilon, special driver, destroy that floodgate. So really important, I feel this card is. You just don't want to get hit with those floodgates or reincarnation. So you have to side against Trickstars and against Ultrageist. Running 2 Call by the Grave. If we see a deck that we notice a lot of hand traps in, we side in to try to fight those hand traps. Double Twin Twister, again, back row heavy decks. You do this against maybe Sky Strikers and against Ultrageist. Pendulums too, probably, so we can destroy their scales. And then Triple Red Reboot. Again, there for any back row decks that use traps. So pretty much Ultrageist or anything that can rely on floodgates. I guess True Dracos as well. And for the last card, I have a little, it's just an idea option. I have the 1 Borlo Dragon. I put it in my side deck as opposed to my extra deck because, you know what, there is going to be some times where you don't know what's going to happen. But if you end up having to go second, that's when you want to side him in. So if you have to go second, you definitely want to side in Borload because you want to be able to make your Borload or your Boral Sword to rather go for OTK or steal something that has an effect that's bothering you and stopping you from making plays and turn the tables on your opponent. So what you'll probably take out for that is you'll probably end up taking like your Firewall Dragon out. Or if I feel like Firewall Dragon isn't coming up anymore, I would definitely just take out Firewall in general and put in the Borload, and maybe I'll put in, I don't know, maybe, actually, maybe we'll end up throwing in one of the 4 mentioned cards that I said you can probably take out Firewall for, because it's just not relevant in this specific variant right now. But definitely, if you are going second, you want to focus more on your offensive than your defensive. If you have to go first, as I said, do what you can to try to set up your negates so you can interfere with your opponent's effects and possibly try to kill them on your next turn. So that's going to be it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that this was a bit descriptive enough for you guys to understand what's going on. Just one final thing before the deck profile is done. You can try to run Allure Darkness. The only reason I don't run this is because I don't really want to banish pieces from my hand. I'd rather banish pieces from my grave. But even so, I might put it in. I'm not really sure. Right now, I think the spell is already a bit too high, but you know what? It is what it is, and you do need to get your pieces out. With that, I believe that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that I explained everything well enough for you all. Raiouza for his get upload for the Legion of Yu-Gi-Oh! Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to both Joker's channel, the Legion of Yu-Gi-Oh!, and both my channel, Royal Vanguard Raiouza, for some more awesome content.